Hello, and welcome to Let's Talk About It. This is your host, Taylor, and today I'm going to be getting a little spiritual and very excited to chat with this guest and to share it with you all. I really did not have much of a clue what I was getting myself into in this episode, so you all will be along for the ride with me. Today, I'm speaking with Mystic Michaela, who is a fourth-generation psychic medium who specializes in reading auras, which are the colorful life force energies around individuals. Again, I really didn't have any idea what any of this meant when I talked to her, but what really did come through for me is that her true passion is in guiding people through spirit to live their authentic lives. And she really actually provided some tools where, I was able to learn some new things about myself and other things I was just able to identify and be like, yeah, that is that. So you all will get to learn a little bit about me in this episode. I also do ask about if she could read the auras of two guys that I've been talking to. And everything that she said was kind of blowing my mind. In addition to being Mystic Michaela, Michaela is also a wife, a mom of two girls, and a lover of cats. So shout out to all my cat ladies. And she also hosts a podcast of her own called Know Your Aura with Mystic Michaela. So without any further ado, I'm very excited to share my aura reading with you all. So let's talk about it. All right. So welcome to the show, Michaela. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me. It's such a privilege to be with you today in quarantine time. Yes.
I know, right? Yeah. I feel like I say joining us, but I'm like, it's just me here. Well, I guess if we count Lily, me and Lily.
Yeah, I have Rocky. He's like with me too. So we got our cats that are hanging out and us.
Yes. I got to say, there's so many feelings around what you do, and I have so many questions about this. It's pretty foreign territory for me. But first, I just want to kind of intro you to share with us a little bit about how you got into the world of, spiritual reading and aurora. Am I saying that right?
Auras.
And there's a highway here, Aurora, that my brain was going.
I'm like Frozen too. I'm like that's where my brain goes.
Yes. But yeah, just like a little bit about like how you got into this in the first place, like your path to the work that you do now.
Yeah. So, oh gosh, so I come from a psychic family. So, so my mom, but we were raised very Catholic. So it was very like, hush, hush, don't talk about it. And, but like, it really kind of runs like, I don't know, it's something like my mom did. And I never wanted to be like that at all. So it was like really stressful for me actually growing up because like, it was like, okay, we do this and stuff, but don't tell anybody because, you'll get judgment. So it was kind of like, that was the agreement growing up a little bit. And, anyways, I was like, whatever, I always saw colors around people. That's my thing. So I see energy around people and it's in color for me. I never thought much of it because it's seriously just like, I don't know, it's like another sense or whatever that I have. And like, I would associate things with it, but I never thought much of it until, I have my, I was a teacher. So I have my bachelor's and master's in education. So I was teaching middle school and like, I was a tenured teacher. I wanted to be normal. Like that was my thing. I'm going to be normal. Right. And like, so, but it's funny because like how these things creep in, like who you are creeps into your life. And I would, do my seating charts or, based on their aura colors or like I was really into like learning styles, and connecting, with the kids. So it was like, okay, like, reds are competitive or purples don't stop talking, or like whatever it is, like whatever their colors were, I learned, how to kind of group it into just teaching what I was teaching Spanish. So like teaching like the language to them. And it was so funny. And it was like my own secret thing. And it was fun for me. The problem would be like when like, kids have issues or whatever, and we bring the parents in. Then like kids are so authentic.
Yes.
So they're just like 100%. Like they are what they are. They're grumpy. They're not grumpy. It like they're great to be around because they're just real. But then when the parents came in because adults, then I would feel layers And then I would get like other things, and I would get like, okay, the kids are mirrors of them, or they're this, the problem is because of this, you know, and I would see it all in color, and it started getting heavy on me. Around the same time, I got pregnant with my first child.
Yeah.
And I had the worst depression. Like, I think it was like hormonal, or I don't, like, I saw all these, I went to therapy and I went to all this stuff, and they're like, you're having like all these issues. And then afterwards I had this whole horrible like postpartum depression situation. And it just became, I think if you've ever been through something, you know, like that or whatever, you know, there's a wall that you encounter. And it's like, I can't be like how other people need me to be anymore. Like, that was like a really big thing for me. And I was like, I just have to kind of go into the aura thing, because it was helping people find their authenticity, which is really what I like to do. And that's what I do now.
And it was helping you find your authenticity too. I'm going to step into this. This is authentic for me.
Yeah. And that's why I feel like I deal with a lot of people who are going through transitions in their life, and they're shedding whatever they're programming, or like whatever, or they're trying to connect to themselves. And like, I find like what the color thing can do, what the aura thing can do, is it can kind of just reveal to you where your own obstacles are. That's it. And when you see it, you can be like, okay, now I can name what it is that I need to remove from my life. And that's it. But I just see it in color. So I had to rename it spiritual life guidance, because like the word psychic is so weird to me. It's just like nobody ever knows what I do unless I say that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Cause psychic
like,
in my head, I'm like, you're going to tell me what my future is. And I'm like, do I really want to know what my future is? I'm like, I don't know that I want to know my future. And then I'm also like, how do you even know my future? Like, I don't know.
It's free will. Well, your future's free will. You know, like, it's all, you have choices that you make. The thing is, it's funny because we're animals, you know, in a lot of ways, and we make the same choices and patterns. So like, you can, if you see your pattern, you can see your choices, you can see your future that way. Yeah. And then you can make different choices. That's kind of what I do. Like, this is why, all right, this is what's going on. Let's link it back to this. Let's remove obstacles and move forward. But I just see it in color. That's like my big tool. And that's like the aura. That's the thing that makes it weird, I guess, because like I see colors around people.
Yeah. And so you call it, you said spiritual guidance, right?
Yes.
And is there a particular reason you use the word guidance as opposed to coaching, or do you use that synonymously?
Yeah, because I feel like, I mean, I've come to this very organically, you know, and I'm still learning, and I'm still delving, and I'm still reflecting and evolving. And I feel like when I talk to somebody, it's, you know, I'm not in control, you're in control. And it's more about like, and that's like a big thing. Like, you know, I'm not a therapist, and I'm not a psychologist, and I'm not a doctor. And I'll say that to people, you know, and I, you know, people really shouldn't use psychics as therapists, you know what I mean? Or anything.
I feel like they do though.
They sure do. And like, the thing is like, when I first started, I had like more availability, you know what I mean? So like, now I'm more booked out. So sometimes people would come too much, and I would say like, listen, you know, and it was always an uncomfortable conversation. Like, I like you as a person, but I think it's time you go talk to a marriage counselor now. Yeah. Or, you know, it's definitely time for you to go take this to somebody who can help you, because like, I'll see in colors too around people like depression or like other mental things. And like, medication is something people need sometimes, you know, or whatever it is. This is for more like, okay, I want a catalyst. Like, that's really like, I feel like what this is. It's like, whoa, okay, right there. But yeah, I don't call it coaching, because it's not something, I feel like you need to hear it and then like be, you know, pushed out of the nest, like go, you know, like, it's more like, this is I want you to see it, and then I want you to take the ropes, you know, like, I don't own any of your progress that your awakenings are your own, you know? So that's kind of like, it's more like, that's why I call it guidance, I guess. That's a good question. Nobody's ever asked me that before. Even myself. That's a good one.
No, I mean, because the wording that you use to describe what you do is really important. Like, when I say that I'm a therapist, like my thing is, I'm here to help you help yourself. And to me, that really like encapsulates the work in therapy. You know, it's not a quick fix. You know, people might
for coaching, I think oftentimes people seek that out and attempt to have a quick fix or to be told, what do I need to do? Whereas like therapy and counseling is very different than that. So I do think that the wording that you use is really important. And I have zero experience and very minimal knowledge around, spiritual guidance and color reading and all of that. I definitely do I think we all have a very strong emotional reaction to color. I think as you talked about kids earlier, I think as a child, you're more maybe in tune with that. And as we grow older, we lose that sense of creativity. We lose that sense of play, that space and that time for play, because we have all these other things, these boxes that society tells us we need to be put in, all this stuff. But I do feel like I'm someone that is very intentional about my colors. And I recognize that colors really do have a huge impact on my mood, on my whole vibe. I'm a big sunset person, and I'm just watching the colors change of the sunset is the most relaxing, spiritually connecting thing for me, because I'm this is just the colors of nature. And it's my higher power, So I do feel there's part of me that would vibe very well with this, spiritual guidance and color reading stuff. Definitely coming into this, I was I'm nervous. What is she going to say? Am I going to learn something new today? I am very curious to see where the rest of this conversation goes. You mentioned earlier that the color purple is they don't stop talking. And I feel that's
Oh, you're so purple. Yeah. So I like that you said that about nature and just how you feel connected. I think what you just did was you just really analyzed something simple, yet that's the whole basis of spiritual connection. When you feel moved by something. Yeah. And when you all of a sudden feel part of a, it's not outside of me, it's in me, or I'm part of a bigger piece. I'm part of the whole. Yeah. I'm not separate. I'm part, all that. That's spiritual connection. And it's funny because that's where the color thing can help with people. Cause I'll be how do you connect to yourself? Cause that's where spirit is, or God, or whatever you want to call it. It's in you. And that which is bigger than us is in you. And how do you connect with that? And so with you, for example, you're so purple. And I told you this before we started the conversation. You're so purple. I had to get it out. But you're okay, so
what does that mean?
Can I do your aura? Okay. All right. So
okay. We're doing my aura.
We're doing your aura. Okay. So you have a very intense, deep purple color, but it's different than other people. Now there's 5 main aura colors, but everybody wears it differently, and you wear it very differently. So your purple, it's layered. So it's purple, and then it's it's very deep, and then there's a very deep blue behind it. So it's interesting because some people wear their colors together, and I feel you buffer with the purple. So what does that mean? So a couple things. One, you definitely feel an observer. I feel you take in a lot, and it's kind of you could, I say this often about purples, but you're really good at it. You can kind of step away sometimes from a situation and watch it it's a movie. What is going on? And take it in, and you're there. But now the blue in you is the part that can feel other people's feelings the same as your own. That's your empath color. But I feel you have a really good gift. And maybe this is why you could do reality TV as well.
I was this actually, you're just describing my whole experience on Bachelor, because I was I'm not, I should be more subjective in this, but I'm just observing everything that's happening and not including myself in it. But then there was the piece of me that was so involved and felt obligated because of that, I guess, blue color of empathizing and being things are happening and I feel they shouldn't be happening. How can I help this?
Yeah, your responsibility came in. Oh my God, I have to fix it. Cause that's your blue, your healer color. But I feel you're good. I mean, that's such a crazy situation to be in. You know what I mean? Cause it's so, I can't even imagine. It's so intense, and it's so you were there so long, but I feel like in life, you can step away and process before you come back and decide what you're going to do. And I feel like you have the ability to do that. That's why you start with purple. The purple also, it's like, okay, that you're like a good vibe reader. Like you can read a vibe, you know, you have good first impressions. It's funny because like, this is kind of in person because we're looking at each other, but I feel like you do this thing where, and I knew you were going to do it too. Cause like, I was looking at your pictures before just to kind of get your color in my head. And I was like, because I didn't know I was going to see you or not. And I feel like you scan people, like you really do. And I wonder if this comes from your clinical training or something too. Like you find yourself kind of like, not everybody does that though, but I feel it. It's interesting. It's not uncomfortable. It feels, do you do that? Because I feel like you kind of do a little scan.
Yes.
All right. I want to take a short break right here to share one of my favorite sponsors of the podcast that I was literally just referring a friend to last night, actually. And you all have heard me talk about them before, and they are BetterHelp. So they are not self-help. It is professional counseling. You take a short questionnaire, they assess your needs, and then you get matched with your own licensed professional therapist. And honestly, it's so easy to navigate. You get matched with someone in under 24 hours. And, you know, my friend even last night who was doing this was, you know, it's probably just taken a while because, you know, they got to deal with how difficult I am and find the right therapist. And I was like, no, like give it 24 hours and I'm sure you'll get matched. And what do you know? Before the 24-hour mark was up, she was matched with a therapist that actually is really local to her. So that was interesting. But anyway, definitely want to recommend BetterHelp as a resource for any of you who are considering getting help, who are seeking help, who want, you know, just maybe someone to listen to you and validate you, or if you're looking for someone to kind of challenge you. If you're even considering if therapy is right for you, then why not give it a shot? Again, I want to help you all out to help you just start living a happier life or a more emotionally intelligent life. So as a listener of Let's Talk About It, you will get 10% off your first month by visiting betterhelp.com/talkaboutit. You can join 800,000 people in taking charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/talkaboutit. So be sure to check them out. It's affordable. They also have financial aid available. I absolutely love them and hope you guys do too.
I don't know if there's correlation or connection between your colors and your like horoscope sign, because as you're talking about, like I'm a Cancer, and Cancers are very nurturing. We are kind of healers, we're helpers, and we feel things really deeply. And when it comes to the observer piece, like I'm a crab. So crabs are very like, you know, we'll kind of like dip our toe in the water, but then, and like scan to see if it's safe. And then if it is, we'll go in. And if not, we just like scurry away.
That is so what I'm seeing. Yeah. Cause that's what you do. And then you're like, and you like process the situation but it's a form of protection.
100%. I have a hard shell. I have a shell. I have a hard shell and a soft inside.
Well, exactly. But like, you know what? The people in your life, like, and I wonder if you've dealt. It's funny because I'm sure you have dealt with this. But like, people either get it right away, like she's ride or die, loyal, she's there for you, or all of a sudden, because you can kind of reveal an insecurity. So if somebody is trying to hide things, they might get like weird around you or something, and then all of a sudden it's your fault. But you're just like, I'm just standing here. You know what I mean? So I wonder if you deal with that in life. Maybe not so much now, but like when you're on the show or things like that. But I see that often with people like who lead with the purple a little bit, because other people will feel you feeling them, and they might not be able to articulate that. So they're going to start saying like, you're judging me, or you're this, or you're that.
I mean, yeah, literally that is like, yes. And I think part of it, because the way that it most presented itself, like in the most extreme way, was on the show. But like it had happened previously to the show, but I was always just kind of like, I don't really know what this is about. Post show, I've reflected on it a lot. And I always attributed it to the fact that I'm a therapist and people feel like I just automatically would be judging them, even though it's like, I'm just trying to get to know you, or like, no, I'm just paying attention to you maybe in a different way than people in your life have. And it makes you feel uncomfortable. Then also adding like the factor that I'm young, adding the factor that I'm a woman of color, adding the factor that I don't drink alcohol. And therefore people kind of with all those things combined, it would feel like I'm judging them or like I think I'm better than them. It might bring out some kind of insecurity that they have because I'm not joining in on, getting drunk, or, they just think because I'm a therapist that I'm judging them. And it's like, no, that's not the case. But I guess all of those things certainly could play a part, but all of those things are also kind of present because that's a part of me, I guess. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does make sense. Yeah. I mean, I just see it as you being purple, I guess. Like, but the way it's funny because like everything you just said, it's really your energy is different than other people's. Like you do stand out. And I feel like this has always been a thing for you. And, like you went to school and like you're trained. So you're like, all right, let's put logic behind it, which is true. And you can do that. And that's also correct. But there's also just something about you that's different. And the thing is, and that's what I try to tell people too. It's like, you embrace it or you apologize for it. There's like two different, and I feel like with you, like, you learn, and this is a lifelong journey. Like, I'm going to flip and just embrace this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there definitely was a period of time where I was apologizing a lot for it and feeling really like making myself really small and definitely experiencing depression and everything. But now I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I'm like, this is me and this is how I'm showing up. So like, you either vibe with it or you don't. And like, that's not my problem.
I love that. And that is such like a release, like when you can do that, because like I often say like the ego will come in and like hijack one of your colors. Like for you, that's the blue. Like the ego can come in and be like, you're selfish, or you made your friend feel unspecial or not pretty or like whatever, because I don't know, like just because people tend to be more possibly just like, focused on you for whatever reason. That's the purple thing too, is like, you feel very artistic to me. So I get just like a general feeling of observing in lots of different ways. Just like visually. I mean, it's just, So you're definitely a different vibe, but it's funny too, because I love the filtering process of how you perceive things. It's like, let's take it through the lens of perspectives. And then when you're like, okay, it's safe, then you're all in. Then it's like, oh my gosh. And that's where personal relationships can always probably be like, this is intense, a lot of feelings. Yeah. Cause you're also very blue and like super, super blue people. I'm sure you've talked about empaths and things like that. Just like, feel other people's feelings the same as your own. Like, it's like smelling, like you can't turn it off. Your boundary is your purple, and that's what you're leaning on. That's what made it healthy for you. Otherwise it's funny when you talked about making yourself small. I talk about that a lot, like people being invisible, like let's be invisible, like, because that's a survival tactic for many years.
Yeah. Huh. And the blue, well, I have a few thoughts.
Okay.
The purple makes a lot of sense to me. Like, purple's been my favorite color since I was like 5.
I love that.
I have a bra right in front of me. That's favorite bra. And it's this like,
that's like what color you are too.
Light purple.
It's like a dark, that was dark.
But like
dark to me.
My room in high school, I painted it dark purple, and I had, all my bedding was this like dark purple. And I remember like, I just had the vision for it. And I was like, this is what my room's going to be. And my mom was like, are we really going to paint this dark purple? Like, she hated it. And I was like, no, this is what I need. And like, my phone cases were always purple. My laptop case is purple. I have purple pots, these purple flowers, or these like dried purple flowers behind me right now. So that is weird. Like, it's always been a color that I have that's been my favorite color. And it's funny because Naya, she's basically like my little sister. We have the same birthday. And before I ever said that purple was my favorite color, I had asked her, what's your favorite color? And she's like, purple. And I was like, oh my God, we're the same person. But I was also like, is this a Cancer thing? Like, is this because we're both Cancers? So the purple thing, like, it does make sense to me. I mean, I've always like gravitated towards that color. But I'm curious to learn a little bit about the blue, because I feel like blue is like the moodiness of like the Cancer in me. Are they connected? Like,
people always ask me that. I just don't do astrology. I like astrology. I'm into astrology. I think it's cool. I like hearing about it. You know what I mean? I never took the time to honestly like sit down. It's a lot to learn.
It is a lot. I'm like, I just learned about myself.
Yeah. And I'm like, me too. I'm like that too. Cause I'm purple too. I'm like, you just tell me about me. No, but like, seriously, about me, right?
Yeah, this is a very different episode too. Because most episodes, I'm not like, tell me about me and what my things are.
All about me. I know.
Yeah.
But I feel like people see themselves in you. So I think like when we do that, it gives people, oh my gosh, she's like that, or that's why we're the same. We make connections by listening to it. But I feel like, the blue. Oh yeah, astrology. Yeah, like, I feel like some people who do astrology like really seriously, they'll get messages when they delve into it. I just don't. Like, I get it through the colors. That's just my thing. Yeah. But the blue. Yeah. So it's a darker blue too. It's like borderline indigo. It's like hanging out on the edge there. I feel like, and it's vulnerability is a big thing with that. And I feel like there's a protection you got going on from anybody thinking you're vulnerable to their nonsense or their manipulation or like whatever it is. I can see that's why it attracted you. I mean, honestly, you have therapist colors. Like it's usually people just send me a picture. And I'll just be like, okay, I feel like this is the type of job you do. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'd be like observer and then healer. That's what I would say. And I feel like that's how you approach, you always approach patients or things like that, clients or whatever, just people or friends. But yeah, the blue is like the part where that's all of a sudden, like when you're blue, you don't have borders to separate yourself from what somebody else is going through. So you have to be so flippin' careful, like who you hang out around, and toxic people are very tricky. So they can, and so you really have to get your feelers up for it, so that they don't take from you. And blues, when you're blue, it's very normal to have lots of relationships before you figure it out, where somebody was constantly taking and you were just, what do you need now? And what do you need now? And what do you need now? And never getting anything back from that until you figure out, like, wait a second, this has to be like, like a mutual thing, which is why a lot of blue people go into healing, because it's like, okay, if I give you therapy, then it's like in a context that's safe. Versus like in a personal life where it can be like a little bit trickier. But with you, the way the blue works on you is I feel like you're just very selective about who's going to be safe enough for you to completely open up to. I feel like you do it with your audience. I feel like you have safety there. And then in your personal relationships, I feel like you have good ones of those. I just feel like you're careful, and I also feel like with you, the way the blue works is you feel other people, you don't judge, and I feel like you try to find the voiceless and advocate for them. So I feel like you try to find places where we're not talking about things, and you're like, I'm going to talk about that for you, because I know, and I told you this before we started the call, like, because I see you doing that, and like it always makes me emotional sometimes when I look at your Instagram, because I'm like, because I'm like, she's talking about things that other people, it's triggering for them. They want to hear it, but they don't know how to initiate it. And I feel like you do that for people, like the latest one you did about just, do you miss being touched? I mean, that's huge. And a lot of people they don't want to say that out loud, because it makes them feel scared and vulnerable. So you did that for them. That's your blue.
Yeah. I actually it was like yesterday I had a session with a client, and most of the time I've been doing video sessions with my clients these days, but sometimes we do phone sessions, and it gives them an opportunity to go outside and go for a walk. And so these walking phone sessions have been really beneficial lately, actually. And yesterday, my client was just having these feelings, but like felt a lot of shame around feeling them, had just been pushing them away, and, really invalidating herself and just going really fast with everything. And I was like, okay, you know what? Like, let's slow down. Like, asking her to really get in touch with herself. And she had said, I feel like I haven't been honest with myself. And so I was, on this walk, I was like, all right, like stop walking, like wherever you're at, if it feels like a safe place, just stand or sit down and like slow down and repeat that to yourself and like breathe through that. And she was able to say, you know, she feels like she hasn't been honest with herself. She's scared. She's anxious. She's overwhelmed. And I'm like, yeah, like you owe it to yourself to be honest with yourself about that. Like there's no, you know, like you don't need to judge yourself. Like just sit with where you're at, because if you're just continuously invalidating yourself, like then how are you showing up with your partner when you're not even being honest with yourself? So there's this whole conversation around that. And, you know, part of that comes out for me because like I've also experienced doing that where I haven't been honest with myself. And that really sat with me that I was like, yeah, like why would we not be honest? Like just wherever we're at is where we have to like accept ourselves and embrace that. And for me, when it's something that feels so vulnerable, like, yeah, I miss physical touch. Like I feel lonely. Like it feels uncomfortable for me to feel it. And that's how I know I'm like, this is going to be important for me to say. Like if it feels like it's something I want to keep to myself and I want to push down, I know that if I do that, I'm just going to create more shame. And to combat that shame, I need to speak it. And so I'm like, yeah, I am lonely and I'm sad and I miss hugs and I miss physical touch and I just want to be touched. And like the more that I say it, the less power of like weight I feel it on me. It feels relieving and it feels like I'm honoring myself. And I know that other people do struggle with that. And so I'm like, I know if I share that, then someone else will feel more empowered to step into their truth and honor where they're at if they're feeling shame about that as well. So that's part of like my thought process in sharing those things, because I do think it's important. So
yeah, I mean, and everything you just said, I feel like I see, that's what I see Blue people doing for other people. Yeah. It's like you were with your client and you felt that moment get awkward or uncomfortable for you as she was talking. And what you were actually doing was you were picking up her own, you know, maybe she, you know, it's hard to kind of read ourselves, but you as, you know, the observer of her thoughts with her, you were co-thinking with her and you're like, right there, I feel like we have to stop. You like you had to, you know, you were with her.
Yeah. It wasn't like it was uncomfortable for me, but it was like,
right.
I know that like this feels uncomfortable for you. As you say it, I can hear it. And like, I know that you're not like, I was just like, we need to like stop for a second.
Yeah. No, you were with her. Yeah. And you know how, like, that's so powerful for people. I feel like just to feel validated. Like, 100%. Oh my God, you're with me. Oh my God. Like you feel that nuance, you know, and I don't know, that just makes you like, that's healing energy. I talk about light working a lot, like, and like, just different ways light working's happening, and light working could be anything, you know what I mean? Like getting groceries for neighbors or, you know, all the way up to like what you're doing, you know what I mean? Like actually giving people sessions, like it's just kind of making people feel seen, you know, and like all the little ways we can do that. It's so essential so that we get back too, because like when you're a Blue, like you give and give, but to get back, you have to feel like you unlocked something for somebody, and letting like what you were describing, like let her feel seen, or like when you do a post like that and you know people are like, oh my God, that resonates. It's like, okay, good. I did good, you know, like that's good.
Yeah. It feels like I help facilitate connection and that feels good. And that's like my goal. And I think part of what you're saying, like the boundary piece, definitely that's like the purple piece that you were talking about. And that's where being a therapist does work well for me, but I feel like because I have pretty firm boundaries for myself when it comes to therapy and when it comes to like personal and relationship life, like I think there's definitely maybe a little bit more of that Blue piece that comes in.
Yes.
I'm curious. Normal. Yeah. And I'm curious, like from my colors that you see, like what that tells you about like my romantic relationships, or like if you pick up anything in terms of how that influences like my sexual relationships, like how that reads.
Yeah. I feel like, you know, okay, so that with you really can't be, I would like recommend like for like a long-term relationship, you're going to need somebody kind of different than you know, like somebody who, you know, you have a lot of analysis going on all the time, self-analysis,
sure do.
Thinking, you know, like somebody says something, you're like, let me contemplate that and like tear it apart and like think about it. Not to the point where you're like, but like it's a lot. And I think for you being with somebody who's a little bit more like, just not a project would be better, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like in the past, and I don't know, but I feel like in the past it was a lot more projects, like you being around, and it's comfortable for you, you know, like all of us, we do what's comfortable first, you know, which is like, okay, I'm going to help this person. Like I fit here. And I think now, like, you're at this point where you're like, yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. So like you could be going through some sort of thing where it's more just like, I'm gonna have some purple fun, you know, like let's try this out, let's try that out, let's try you out, let's try, and that's good too, because it's kind of like let's open myself up to experiences without guilt or things like that around it, which is purple-ish, but also get a lot of feedback for it, you know. I feel like people were taking too much from you in the past emotionally, and now you're like, yeah, I'm not gonna let it sink that deep yet, and then I feel like you're going to need somebody, I would say like red or green, but honestly with you, I feel like you need more red, a red
What
guy.
Is red? What is red?
So red is like, it's like, they're very direct with their feelings, which is great. Like, this is how I feel and this is what I want. And they will wear their heart on their sleeve, but they're kind of like unashamed about it. So they're like purples, but they're less, I guess, emotional about it or something. They're like, I like you. When are we going out? Like that.
Or less like guarded. Like purple sounds like it is more like scanning of like, is this safe before I fully let myself in?
Yeah, reds don't do that. Yeah, you're right. You already know. Like purples are like they're usually like very go for it. Yeah. So, and they're more like animal instinct-ish about things. So they're like, you're cute with red. Like you can be like that too, but I feel like a red mate is somebody who's a little bit more like controlling, but not in a creepy way. You know what I mean? Like it's like take charge, where you can like push against it, and it's kind of interesting, but not somebody that has so many feelings that it's like, oh, come on, dude, I can't deal with that too. Like I have my own stuff. It's enough. You know, like I want to fix you that way. So I feel like you need somebody a little bit more different, opposite attract.
Yeah, that does. I mean, what you just described though in a red, like, is my vibe, because I'm like, I have such this, I have a very like primal part of me when it comes to like dating that, you know, I want someone that certainly is emotionally intelligent, knows their feelings. That's not work I have to do for them. Like they know their love languages, but also someone that will like ravage me and take me in the woods and like has a beard and like can make a fire, that I'm like, he's like, take me. Yeah.
Take me, throw me against the wall. You know, it's like, and it's not, purples need a little bit of like shove against things because like you don't have to worry about somebody telling you what to do. Like you're pretty good at like putting your foot down if it's too much. So it's like, you're never going to be in a cult or like with somebody who's too controlling. You're going to be like, get the frick out. No. So it's nice to have somebody who's like intense that way. And like the thing with being purple is like, I'll just say it, like you need really strong sexual chemistry with somebody. And reds are the same way. And it's not so freaking complicated. It's like, we don't have to like say poetry to each other before we begin. Like, it's just like, bam, let's go for it. And I feel like that's the kind of like you have so much complicated thoughts and analysis and stuff like that. And they can keep up with it. But then when it comes to certain areas of the relationship, it's like, no. And that's why I often see red and purples make really the longest term matches, because I don't know how else to say it, but in the bedroom, it'll always work. And so like, even if it, like sometimes the communication's off other places, it's like, at least we work here. And it can kind of bring us back together, and it can kind of, and you guys, reds, the same as purples, like they like a lot of renewal. So it's like, and just to like, cause people are like, what is a red?
Yeah, red, I'm like, how do I know someone's a red? Like, where are they at? Give me some examples of reds.
So they're usually like they usually work for themselves, or they're like high up management. So that's like, cause they can't deal with authority. They don't mind.
This sounds like my past boyfriend.
God, you have to send me a picture and we'll talk about that. But what else? Oh, they don't mind a team. Usually you'll see them telling other people what to do. So like they have people under them. They competitive risk fields. So like real estate or like buying, selling or sales or, but sometimes they're like firefighters or police officers too. They can be reds. There's a difference between the two though. Like, then what else do red people do? Yeah, usually they're small business owners, like stuff like that. Like they usually work for themselves. And if they don't, they're high enough up that they don't really have anybody else. And they can't deal with no respect. This is like the biggest thing for them. Like if they're disrespected, we're done. And loyalty, disrespect, and then they can be a little aggressive. So like they're a little bit like Tarzan meets Jane a little bit, like, but I mean, they think and stuff, but like,
because I'm like, I want a Tarzan, but like with a brain.
Yeah, like they have a brain, but like they can go into Tarzan mode a little bit, so it's kind of good.
Yeah,
they're a little more simple than like other colors. That doesn't mean they're stupid. It's just they're a little bit more black and white about things, and I don't know. They just make it's just a certain type of personality. I see more red guys than red women. But there are red women, and poor red women, like they always get like, you're too masculine, or, like, I don't know, like people call them a bitch, but if they were a man, they'd be like patted on the back, like stuff like that. But a lot of red guys.
What, can you think of any examples of like guys that are red that like maybe from the show or just like celebrities that like that are red?
Yeah. So this, oh my gosh, because this is like a terrible example. Like, so The Bachelor never picks red people, like to be Bachelor. Always picks green people, except they picked Ari, who is red. Hold on, I gotta get up my red stuff. They picked Ari, who is red. Now, but he's red and purple, which is like a whole different breed.
Yeah, but they always pick green. What is green?
They always pick green people. So green, it drives me insane. Like Judge Judy's red. I know it's a woman. But, I have to like Judge Judy's red. And like who else? Like LeBron James is really red. I can't think of other people. But like on The Bachelor, I can't even think of like a red guy. They do pick red women. I can't think of
feel like maybe like a Josh Murray type would be a red. Maybe? Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, see, this is where I'm bad.
He was engaged to Andy. Or like
Andy's,
Chad,
yes, they were both red. Andy's red.
Yeah, I could see that.
Andy's very red. And who was the other one? Rachel? I think she was red too.
Yeah, I could see Rachel as a red, yeah.
She was red. Like she would never have this conversation. Red people aren't into psychic stuff like at all.
I could see that, yes.
Yeah. Yep. But I loved her season. I was like, Rachel, you're so red. And she'll never hear it. But like, she's red and purple. But she's mostly red. Anyways, greens. They always pick green. Like Nick was green. Okay. Like they always pick green people. Greens they think so much, yet they always get stuck at the same conclusion. So you think that they're like, oh, they can really run a thought through their head. Wow. They have a lot of different situations going on. Wow. They can really play a lot of different outcomes. Doesn't matter. They'll always come to the same conclusion. So they're very black and white, but you don't always see that because they can play out everything with logic, but they'll always come to the conclusion that they're comfortable with. Whereas like you, for example, like you could probably think of a lot of different ways you could go. Like that's interesting, or maybe that, or I don't want to limit myself or whatever. What else is green people? Very camera conscious. Thank you. Very camera conscious because like they're very aware of how other people view them. So they're really good at like projecting an image that sometimes it's them and sometimes it's not. Usually they don't know that they're doing it or not. And then usually they're very fundamental things going on that they're never going to change, So if they're good with marriage, they're good with marriage. If they're not good with marriage, they're not. And like, it's kind of like, but they're very smart. They're usually like nerdy or techie. They're in production. I'm trying to think. Like they usually go kind of like eagle's eye jobs, like jobs where you have to be kind of a visionary and put pieces together. So I see them oftentimes like CEOs and things like that.
And did you say that purple and green go well together or not?
Purples and greens don't usually go well together because the purple will be like, because greens get very good at outlogicking your feelings. So if you have a feeling, if you have and that's the thing, like I know with me, like when I have a feeling, like this is my feeling, like, and I don't care what you say, do not try to talk me out of it. Well, a green will try to talk you out of your feeling. A red person will let it go. They'll be like, fine, you feel that way. I feel this way. Let's agree to disagree and move on. Fine. A green, it's almost like they can't live in a reality where your feeling is real. Like everybody has to agree with them or something. Mm-hmm. So usually purples and greens don't work. Usually. I mean, I see the attraction a lot because they like to work this out together. Yeah. You know, and it's interesting for them. And that's why I often see this on The Bachelor. Like, oh, it's a green and a purple. Here we go again. You know what I mean? And then, and then they'll pick the yellow, which is like a whole. Mm-hmm. And then
what is yellow?
So yellow is
I like yellow.
Oh, yellows are very organized. They're very together. They're usually very like Kendall. I think you just.
I could see her.
She's yellow, like very sweet and optimistic, and like it's like a duck. Like you never they work in under the water. You'll never see them paddling, but on top they're like, we're cool. Everything's great.
Yeah.
Like
very
super
like
sweet. Mellow, like really, but very like fastidious about other people's being polite or being on time, or they're very like they want to make sure that they're not offending you in any way. Like you know, they got it together that way. You know, for other people a little bit. Usually I see them as like interior designers, like organized jobs, like or you know something with administration or accountants. You know, things like that.
I feel like part of me vibes with yellow, but like I also have like way strong a personality that I feel like is not as mellow as a yellow.
You're not mellow yellow. Yeah, that's, you know, your job can require sometimes too, and it makes sense, like just the logic that you have to find or the paperwork that you have to do or the ways that you have to follow things up is yellow. Like it's a yellow system. A lot of people will wear inauthentic yellow. Like it's like when you wear a color that's not yours because you feel like that's the only way you can fit in. So I'll see a lot of people like try to, because the world's really built for like yellows and greens, honestly. Like it's a society thing. So a lot of people kind of we'll get pushed to being those colors a little bit when we're not. It's like we're all organized in our own ways, you know? Yeah.
No, that makes sense.
But yellow's like a spreadsheet, you know? They're like a little bit better that way.
Yeah, now I'm trying to think of selfishly here, like what dudes are red that like I would know of now that I'm like.
I know. You have to send me pictures, like, and I'll be like, red, because like you are prime for a red. I'm trying to think who else is red. Oh, like, well, like Derek, you know, he was red, not red at all. He's indigo blue. I'm trying to do like other people.
That's like that's my second color-ish, right?
Yeah, it's like just very alike. You know what I mean? Like those colors. I should have pulled up like a ton of Bachelor photos, and I could. I'm bad with names, but I'm better with like.
Yeah.
If you say them, I can do it. Yeah, like I can Google them and look real quick.
I'm gonna text you really quickly right now a photo of a guy that.
This is awesome. It's my favorite thing to do.
He's a hockey player.
Oh, either green or red. Let's say.
So I just texted you a photo of him. I'm curious if he's.
Oh yeah, he's very red. Hold on,
I feel like that, honestly, like I don't even know how to read colors, but I feel like when I look at that picture, I'm like, that's a red.
No, but I'll tell you, like this color thing. It's a third eye thing. Like kids will see colors, like little kids and stuff. Like I'll talk to kids and they'll ask a kid what your color is, seriously, because they'll be like, oh, I see this around you, especially you, because you're like such a purple. Like it's probably easier for kids to see that around you. So he's really red, and but he feels. I mean, I don't know if you want me to go into
it. Yeah, no, sure.
Okay. I'm like zooming in. I just want to make sure. Okay, okay. All right. Here we go. Let's get a picture. He's red. He's got this immature thing going on though, where it's like it's almost like a timing issue. So it's like if you just met him in a few years from today, it would be so much better.
because he's literally 24 and part of me is like, what am I doing? Like,
he's very honest with you. Like, super. But at the same, and he's very direct, and you appreciate honest and direct conversations. And I feel like he's not lying to you ever. Yeah. But at the same time, he doesn't want to get tied down, I feel, because he doesn't want to ever be dishonest with you. So I get like, he's into you and he wants this to work, but at the same time, I get this like pull from him. And it could be the whole hockey thing. You know what I mean? Like where he wants to, whatever, save a part of him that still has a relationship with that or whatever. But I feel like he's got this thing like where he has a real hard time settling down, and you're feeling that. And it's more of like, he's logical and to the point where I feel like he's like telling you things that make sense. And the thing is, you have a lie detector, so you know when someone's like BSing you or not. And he's really not. I just feel like he has a hard time committing right now. And it's 100% because he doesn't want to be a jerk that he'd know he'd be if he put some sort of label on it. Having said that, I feel like he's super all over your texts and like this and that, and hey, like constantly reaching out, and you're just like, everything you say is going against all of your actions that show me like a ton of interest. And like and I feel like if you were more, and I don't know where he is because maybe he's traveling or something, or like I don't know, but I feel like when you're together, it's like don't get you in the same room together because like there's it's a lot of chemistry. But I feel like you're on his mind a lot. That's another thing with purples. Like you can feel when somebody's like on, you're like when someone's thinking about, like it's like an anxious feeling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like, does he have a sister? Just random. I just get this.
No, he's an only child. He does have, I think maybe his dad has another kid. Okay. But no, he, like when I see him, I'm like, he's a red, but like he's a Cancer like me.
Oh gosh. Yeah. You and your Cancers.
I know. Well, I've never talked to another Cancer guy before. So I'm like, this is a new thing for me, but, he's very fun. He is very honest. Like you said, like he does not bullshit. He does get me. We've only met once and then all this quarantine stuff happened. So it's been, FaceTime conversations and whatnot, but we are very opposite in a lot of ways.
That's good.
Like
opposite's good for you.
But I don't know, Michaela, he doesn't vote. And like he drinks out of plastic water bottles and like didn't know what I swear to God, if he hears this, he's gonna be like, God damn it, Taylor. But I brought up, I was like, like the love languages, and he was like, love languages. And I was like, yeah, like, I mean, you know what they are? And he goes,
he's like what?
He goes, like languages? And I was like, yeah, Spanish. He's like French. yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, but like what you were talking about earlier about like, the work kind of that like people kind of need to have done and like me feeling like I'm doing that work. Like, yeah, he's 24, and like, but at the same time we do vibe very well together. Well, that's so funny. And I was going to send you one other person.
Oh yes, please do. Oh, yes, you're good. Okay. Oh no,
don't say what.
I'm not. Oh no, I'm gonna say a word.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But
oh my God.
Yeah, curious.
Did you just see my face?
I did.
I know what this is. Okay, I got excited.
Yeah. Okay. So now, thoughts on that one?
Okay.
I didn't know this is where we were gonna go today, but I'm happy.
Oh my gosh, I love this. It's real. Like okay, so his big thing. He's very sensitive. He is blue and purple. So he feels more safe in a lot of ways. In that I feel like he's let's do this. Now he's all about the love languages.
No. In our conversations, I did not have to explain love languages. He was like, no. I was like, okay, here we go.
Yeah. So he's a lot like you. It's funny because he's sweet, like he's got a big heart. Mm-hmm. And for everything that he's been through, I feel like he is not jaded, which is nice. Yeah. And he feels like he's actually learned a lot and he's self-reflected a lot. And he's got a good attitude about things, really good with women. I feel like he's just very respectful of women. Not that the other one isn't at all. Don't get me wrong. Like I just get that this one like really understands women or something. And I feel like, what else? The only thing I get with him is that you guys are a lot alike. And I feel like he is very sensitive. And I feel like he's still finding himself, finding his voice, finding what he's going to do next.
Yeah.
And you have patience for that, you know, because you're like, whatever. And, you know, that's not like a thing for you. But at the same time, it's kind of like, you know who you are. And I feel like when somebody else kind of is still working on it, it's like, okay, you know, like that. Yeah. And it's kind of nice to have somebody, it would be nice. That's the other one feels more secure and like what's next for them. And this one feels like he doesn't quite know. So it kind of goes back to you being kind of like an encourager or a helper or things like that a little bit.
Yes.
And that's draining, you know, and it's not super sexy all the time. But I feel like he loves it, man. Like, so, here's an empath sex thing. I can talk about this. Yeah. All right, because just remember, you have to be careful when you're blue because you can borrow happiness in so many different ways, and one of them is sexual. So, like, if something turns your partner on, that and you feel it, that's fine. But if you got to be careful that like it's reciprocal, you know what I mean? So, like with him, I feel like when you're nurturing, that's a huge turn on for him. And you can be like, ooh, and borrow that. Like, I feel him happy, so I'm happy. Now, the question is, what am I getting now? You know, like that. Yeah. And that's the only, as long as you answer that, you're good. But he's really into you. And like, I feel like he has no issues telling you any of that. This is so exciting for me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean, all of that was very accurate. So that makes sense.
I mean, I feel like, you haven't met him yet though?
No.
Okay. I feel like he wants to make that very soon or something.
Yeah. I mean, I think he feels dating right now is just weird anyway, because
it's, you know, so freaking weird. He feels sweetly pushy about it in a sweet way.
Yeah. I mean, everyone, you know, trying to be safe right now, not traveling to see people. Lots of FaceTime conversations and, you know, with everyone, I think it's, you know, very much known that it's like, we're going to be FaceTiming for a while and like, it's going to be a hot minute before we do see each other. So in that sense, like we all know that, you know, we're not committed, you know, I'm not committed to anyone I'm talking to right now because like that would just feel very strange. There's another person I could send you and maybe I will after this, but I've learned so much. This is wild.
Oh, good.
I'm glad it doesn't feel like you're like predicting my future or anything, which I was like, I don't want to know. Like I don't
either. I like whenever I used to go to, I only been to like 3 site gigs and like, I hate it. I'm like, I don't want to know, you know, like, but that's just me. I don't want to know. And some people, but that's my thing. Like when I do a session with somebody, it's like, it's more about just self-discovery and like getting more clear on your motivation, what motivates me, what my passion is and how I connect.
Yeah.
And
no, that makes a lot of sense. And it's definitely just like a different layer of personal exploration that, as we talked about at the beginning, of like identifying these things, because then you can kind of figure out, you know, how you want to use those things, how you want to respond to those things. Just a very reflective experience, it sounds like, and feels like currently for me.
Oh, good. I love looking at your aura, you know. I've been looking at it all creeper for a while. So now I got to do it on the podcast. I'm very excited. Thank you.
Yeah. Does my aura feel any different from what you've seen online versus talking to me now?
You know, so many people are different and you're really not. And it's funny because like the IG photos, it's just sometimes on Instagram, like I'll see somebody and I know it's not 100% them. It's just weird to have your photos up and you want to do it a certain way or whatever. You're pretty much the same. Like, honestly, like, but some people will put on another color or hide. You really don't. And if anything, like you're like extra purple in your photos. You're like, yeah, look at it. I love that.
Yeah. My post today is about to be like, yeah, look at it.
I can't wait.
This episode will come out after that photo. So I'll tell you what the photo's going to be. My armpit.
Okay.
It's going to be my armpit. Because it's just, why not?
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't it funny how that could offend somebody somehow? Like, isn't that weird?
No, that's literally part of my caption is like, this is gonna offend someone, but like, why? Why should it offend anyone? Like,
explore that. If you're offended, I need you to explore that. It's like that, like the halftime show at the Super Bowl. It's like, please explore why you were offended.
Yes, that's literally the end of my caption is like, why does this matter to you? Like, why is it not just another part of the photo, like my shirt or the plants? Like, why does this stick out to you?
I love that.
But I'm curious, I guess this is kind of my last question here. If there's anything that about me being a purple that like maybe is difficult to hear, or that maybe is like an opportunity to challenge myself, an area of growth that maybe you see, if there's anything like that, I'd be curious.
Yeah, and we all have those, you know what I mean? And you're very brave to like open yourself up to that, you know, and it's just what you do though, I guess, for other people's benefit. Purples can be very self-destructive, and with you, I call it throwing purple bombs, honestly, because like you'll plant them and then be like, I want change, but I don't know, like your boundaries aren't short up enough to get change, or you feel like you can't self-advocate, or like whatever the reason is. And then you'll just plant something. And then like one day it goes off and your whole life changes and you're like, oh, you know, but with you and the density of your purple color, I would say that your big thing is, I think people getting close is like a thing for you. And, you know, with the self-destructive thing, it can be a little bit like reasons why you won't let them be close, but they're kind of, what are those reasons and where they come from? That's all. And is that legit? Are those legit things or whatever? And I'm sure they are or whatever, but like, I think that's it. Just all purples. Like I'm purple too, so I get it. Yeah. Like there's a self-destructive tendency in us to make sure that we stay the same. And that's it. You know, it's like, well, where am I staying the same and what am I doing to keep it that way? Because like as a purple, purples need to grow. You know, we like to grow. And so that's like a big thing for you, growth. So just, getting out of your own way and making sure you don't stay there. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to think on that. Yeah.
All right. Like that.
Now you got my brain going, and I'm like, I'm out of like podcast host mode, and I'm just have the conversation. But to bring it back, where can people like find you? Like if someone wants to have a session with you, like, I mean, obviously right now things are like quarantines and everything, but like if you can share with people a little bit about like, you know, what kind of specific services you offer, or where you can learn more about that and contact you.
Yeah, I am on Instagram at Mystic Michaela, and I try to put up informative posts and things like that on there. And I have a podcast, Know Your Aura, with Mystic Michaela, where I try to discuss some of these things and make the paranormal normal in like however ways it works, bring it down to earth. And like you can find me there, you know, and you can email me off my Instagram and we can talk.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. This was great.
Taylor, thank you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, of course.
All right, that does it for today's episode. Thank you so much for making it all the way through and keeping your ears, your hearts, and your minds open. It would mean so much to me if you could take a second or two after listening to this episode to leave a review on iTunes and let me know what you're enjoying about the show. I love reading, you know, what your favorite episodes are, where you guys listen, and definitely feel free to share this with a friend. I mean, part of how we break down the stigmas around these topics is by talking about them, right? And sharing them with more people. So definitely share the podcast. And again, really wanting to include all of you in this podcast. So if you have questions or you want to share a thought or an experience, please send in a voice memo to ask.letstalkaboutit@gmail.com. And I'm really excited to keep having these conversations and breaking down these stigmas. So thank you all so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll talk to you next time.